explaining why geodesics or manifolding systems like this explain this, you're going to begin to go through these. Now, hopefully they give you this. Now, this is most of the red food that they take care of via the green food or whatever it is. Start in less than 2 years and eat one position and working your way up through the rank. This, again, when you do the factoring of, well, does it really bi-weekly, $500 a week is roughly $2,000 plus or minus BAH. Well, that's a whole month. Excuse me. That's this is like $25 an hour, but it's military. You would expect the pace to be a little bit harder, longer hours. This is not a 40-hour cycle. They're just equivalent. That this training phase plus what you're doing is in some way offset, because it happens all the time in the mill. Happens in board factories, happens in subways, happens in stone mills, and they're all relative to each other. That's one town where everybody's making 15, and you kind of like, well, the town over, a subway is an easier job, so you got to factor off that distance to me, because why wouldn't I just work at Subway, right? So you got to find that balance inside of here as far as the regional calc that goes involved with all this. Let's see what else we got. You're going to see a lot of things in the field charge. Students, this guy's going to look at you like GPT, right? He's going to be well programmed in this verse of training, where I don't need to know all the brain capacity. I don't need to know field charge as an expert, when field charge would be students up and down their head. Get it? Get it, guys? You need, Fort Jackson, you need to fix the expression on your face right now, because you're being visible one way or the other. Some laugh, some cry. And that's a statement to say, hey, we're not trying to deny you your emotional spectrum in here, and to a certain degree we want that. It's like, hey, you're having a hard time with this, it's good to pick off those signals, as long as you're not screaming and tweeting down there. There's got to be a way to do it. Make sure that you've done those things before you just blow up on Sharps or Salty about the chaplain's nonsense and Puritan field charge, how close you are to it. Nearer, John the Warrior Poet, nearer. At any rate, we get a chance to look at this material and really get the chance to program our own Swifter says to it, balance out inside of the system that says we're playing this system as if it's an AI design, and we have to find ways to be the player that beats data, poker, whatever game you're playing, because the mechanisms generally work the same way. We're not trying to take it to the point where you're ready for a 300-point command Warhammer system yet, or redesigning your Minimax or system to design the Minesweeper logic inside of here about what is dangerous, when it's dangerous, or how it's dangerous. It doesn't exactly work like that yet. Just figure out your basics, GPT. Need you to do a basic job of telling him he just woke up from the spacecraft. You're not really doing anything else. You got to take it to another terminal before this is an annuity. This guy over here is going to be, if you like the crypto models of it, a new. And one of them brothers or sisters down there that's coming out with a new form style or something like that you got to be able to integrate into the system. And again, you don't need actual physical facial response. There's wave signals inside here that tell you, there's an anomaly. They got off the wall. They did something. Now, when you're actually doing graphics and dot metrics on points and combinations and things, it's going to be a little bit different. But the calculus in that way, uniform. Look at these tablets down here, right? Remember what we were doing up here a second ago? How far off are they? Okay, so I want you guys set in there. This isn't a joke to that stuff. Sometimes that's what it was doing. That one of those tablets was the port, right? One of them was the military model, or at least what they expected a new to be, right? You write it in there. He's got to be tall, wide, and prettier, this, that, or the other. Otherwise, no patch rank for you. So there's lots of different versions of this algebraic series, and they're all the same thing. This one, A to B, B to A, relatively speaking, is this one, but not. So you got to watch that stuff, because this geometry problem is going to be a problem with the housing later of Uncle Sam's wave hint. The answer to the problem is the wave function of the bathroom cleaning rotation, not geometry. But it is. I know that doesn't make sense to you. But hang on, MTF, this reality warp and cargo contain an SCP brief gets wild. We're not really, again, when you do this, you're still asking GPT-3 to compete locally with students, a classroom, and a TV screen inside of here that allows them to answer the Discord. Can it come off like Swiffer says? Is there no life for questions or systems inside of here about what might be up or down in terms of somebody gold mine and their Anunnaki having tools and equipment? I don't remember what I was doing in there. But I'm playing Warhammer with Jaren in here for Red Type and the Graylian Lunch Line. There comes times where a master stone will come up. Somebody will do the example, and this is how you figure out center of mass to how you jump. And there's going to be not many. I mean, for the most part, average right-hand rule. Do not violate the 150 if it's based in your general mechanics. If it is your physical ultramarine, and you have to deal with that for mass and jump and legs and differentials that kind of equal it back out, but there's some differences, that's when you need to be able to adjust accordingly to learn how to walk again. Applying this mechanics like, well, I did walk, now I'm applying it for somebody else with a different criteria, how to run, how to throw a ball. You are a ball wave. You put it in there enough times in that catcher's pitch, or the catcher's mitt with the umpire looking for the glue on here, the gravity, or excuse me, the photons, right? Up and to the right, here's your strike zone. It's in there because that's the only thing that makes this game what it is. Otherwise, cosmological collapse happens because footballs are not baseballs, and that does not a baseball pitcher or hitter represent in terms of, wow, that ball made it 300 and something odd feet. You know, what was the height on this? You know, it doesn't need to be so accurate at that point in time when these general calculations and factoring gravity is a negative. You know, it's kind of a little sloppy here, the long jumps and stuff like that this is pulling you down. This is what's, something in here, your form, follows, function, and technique is giving you a big difference in the meters you're jumping. That, or why it does or does not matter in terms of multi-domain battlefields. You're going to get into needing to decide a timeline. Like, this is what I'm going to teach you guys. This is Lucy. Here's her time frame when somebody found her skull. That was actually, right there in the grand scheme of things in terms of the new dynasty, the Ottoman Empire, and the Old Kingdom back here, the pyramids creation. That's Lucy. She is this way on the line, and we're going this way, moving into the future. What is here? Here we're doing this. It doesn't necessarily matter unless we're all T1 star timelines relative, because, Ottoman Empire is not really in here. It might be a touch on the subject, but it's not taking you back from 14 something to 1941, I do believe is not 1922. There we go. As far as when the Ottoman Empire collapsed or anything else, we need to be able to take these master stones, and somebody's going to come in. There was a time when they knocked off the head of one of the lions on here because it didn't depict real physical things, and then somebody come out with this, studied from some Asian master mason engraver over there, come back to the term, actually had some contract, ramen noodles for the Golden Army, and then you do the stone, whether it be yourself or using the trainees and systems that you use to do that. Now here, carving stone isn't quite as relative as it is today, but it can be. It could be. Not what we're doing here, at least for the Mason's house. You do something like that in your free time of that schedule I gave you earlier. You're going to wind up having to pack that in there, because I didn't necessarily tell you where we go here, anything. You're going to have to give up one of these sleep systems. You're going to need to refactor your work schedule. But this is Bones' bare minimum 40 OSHA hours on what it is, and then you get to describe some differentials. Because if I catch you in my mill, I won't be very clear to you. I won't be very nice. I'm not going to give you this same thing. I'm just going to cut you loose and throw you out into the snow. So, it's a note to think about. Catch you on the next one.